Wood you're going to be using for your guitar or ukulele is African mahogany, and it is found here. It looks just like this, where it's this reddish brown. It's got a little fuzzy look to it as well. So you're going to have to just get a big long board and take it over to the upcut saw. On the upcut saw, we need to get this cut to 48 inches long for your neck. Turn that on, just set it to 48 and hit start. And then we can put our board and go ahead and cut it. Joint one edge on the jointer to get it nice and flat. Sometimes you have to run it multiple times in order to get it flat. So if it's not flat after one pass, joint it again. You're gonna go to the table saw and set your fence to 3.5 inches and rip your board on the table saw. Be sure to check the blade height, that it is tall enough to cut through the board. So as you set your board next to the blade, you just want to check to make sure that it's sticking up above. And we only want it to be maybe about the height of the teeth above your board for the height there. So that's pretty good. We're going to go to the planer and get the thickness down to 7/8 of an inch. If you notice on your board right now, it is roughly 1 inch, maybe a hair bigger than 1 inch. And so on your planer, you want to set this for your first pass about a 1/16 smaller than the thickness is right now. And you're going to run it through, flip your board over, run it through again on the opposite side, a 1/16 smaller, and you're going to go this process till down to 7/8 of an inch thick. Program, type in the first measurement there, enter, start. It'll adjust to that. This will be our first pass. Flip our board over and get the other face this time. Measure 12 inches on one side, mark it, and then we're going to cut that off on the miter saw. Coming back to the planer, take your 12-inch cutoff piece, and we need to plane this now down to 9/16 thick. We went all the way to 7/8, and we're going to now go farther down to 9/16. If you look on our chart, 7/8 is 0.875. 9/16 is 0.562. So we're going to go in order. So first pass will be 812, then 750, 687, 625, and then 562 should be our final pass for this board. Your other longer board, leave that at 7/8 thick, and we'll use that for the other part of your neck. Next, we're going to come over to the miter saw again and have the teacher get the jig put up. This is called a scarf jig, where we're going to make our scarf angle cuts. And you're going to cut a scarf joint on one end of your longer board, as well as one end of your 12-inch board as well. And it doesn't matter the order that you do this, and it doesn't matter which end you cut it on, but just set it next to this little fence here and all the way up until it butts into that little fence here. And you're gonna hold it nice and firm when you go to make this cut. Now you gotta understand the blade's gonna be cutting where the slot is right here. So don't hold the board in the way where the blade's gonna be cutting. So you gotta hold your board back a little bit, but nice and firm so it doesn't move. And then you're gonna pull the blade down and make that cut. Same thing on your longer board. It does not matter which end you do, just choose one end and make a scarf joint all the way over, holding that board nice and firm, tight against the fence and up tight against here as well. Occasionally you have to lift up the guard with your thumb as you're cutting. So if you're here, and then you might have to use your thumb to lift the guard up slightly so it doesn't hit on your board as you're making that cut. After you've cut both scarf joints, just one on each end, they should be able to fit together to make the shape of your neck. And you'll just place them one on top of the other, and then there's kind of your angle for your neck. Now, this longer one here, you need to now, you can come over to the other miter saw, and we need to cut off 3 boards from it that are 5 inches long each. So a 5-inch, a 5-inch, and a 5-inch. Those 3 boards are going to be part of the neck assembly as well. So just measure from the, not the end that we did the scarf joint, but the opposite end of your board. Measure 5 inches, and we'll get 3 of those cut off from the end. It's best to just mark one at 5 inches, then make your cut. Then take that one board that you cut and trace it on top of it to get the other ones cut. All your pieces, we're going to basically just place them together how it's going to look for our neck eventually. So our scarf joints are going to come together, and then those 3 blocks, we're going to place them where the heel is. And I have a little pattern that it's going to kind of show where it's going to be placed. And so if you can kind of just place your pattern on top, and then that way it'll give you a rough estimate of where we're going to be gluing on those 3 blocks to make that little heel block of your neck. Make sure when you get these together that you have enough room for a tenon, because your neck's going to have a little tenon stick out past, and that's not shown on the pattern, so we make sure that that's enough for a tenon here. So right where that's at looks pretty good. We should be able to get our neck out of that. You'll have a little extra hanging over, and that's okay. But it'd be a good idea to take a pencil and just mark where these blocks are lining up so you know where to glue those on at, onto your neck part there. And then again, your scarf joint is just going to come together nice and even, so this should be a nice flat surface the whole way. And we're going to go ahead and get this all glued up and clamped up. It's a good idea to have some butcher paper down when you're gluing so you don't get any glue squeeze out on the bench tops. And you just want to cover the scarf joint with some glue where the other board is going to be attaching. Spread it around so it covers the entire surface of that scarf joint, so there's no dry spot at all. And it's going to be a little tricky when you go to throw the clamp on here because that board's going to want to kind of slip and slide around a little bit. So do your best to get it clamped nice and firm so that the two boards line up. The top part is the most important, that we have it nice and flat when we're putting the clamp on here. So this surface right here needs to be nice and flat, no gaps, whether it's too low or too high as we clamp it. If it does slip and move on you, then we just have to adjust the clamp a little bit and just get it until you can get it nice and firm and tight. You might see a little glue squeeze out as you tighten up that clamp. When you glue your end block here, just again spread the glue so it covers the whole surface, and we'll glue the 3 blocks together and then onto the neck where you marked your little reference lines where it's going to be glued on. Yeah. Throw the clamp. Let's put 2 clamps on this one. Try to get your clamps parallel when you're putting your clamps on there. That way it gets even pressure. If you have them pinching on the front or on the back, it's not going to get even pressure. So try to get them parallel. And we'll let this sit and dry for at least 30 minutes before we do anything else to this. Be sure to write your name on your project.